February 1st, 2021. My name is Christopher Saunders, and this is the Connecticut Sports Talent Show, where we talk all things talents in Connecticut. And on today's show, I'm pleased to have the Ledyard boys basketball head coach, and he's been around for some time with the program, Dave Cornish. Coach Cornish, thanks so much for being able to come on.
Thanks. It's a pleasure to be on, Chris.
I think first and foremost, before we get into the nitty gritty and the basketball side, how is your family doing aside from the 18 feet of snow we're getting, also with the coronavirus as well?
So far, everything is where everybody's well. Nobody's gotten it. We're staying away from it. So thank God.
Yeah, right. I mean, good. I'm happy to hear that. Now let's get down to business. First and foremost, before we get into your time at Ledyard, I kind of want to go into probably, I would say, the New London side, because I think that's an intriguing part, because people from where I am, because I live in Waterbury right now, don't know I think the history of what New London basketball is. So can you kind of explain that a little bit?
It's a lot of tradition, a lot of great players, coaches. It's just a mystique when you go into John T. Conway Gymnasium. It's just, when you put on that green and gold, it's a whole nother level, man. Yeah,
And
there's a lot of expectations that come with that also.
and how long were you with the New London program for?
I'd gotten out of high school my senior year. The coach was Ralph Fagero, and he had asked me to take stats for him that year. And it was 1980. It was the 88 season. We lost to St. Paul at the buzzer. Kerry Edwards and those guys were there. The following year, we went 24-0. I stayed with him. We went 24-0, won the state title. And the year after that, we went 24-1. So we won back-to-back. We beat Kennedy that year, won back-to-back state titles. And then I left in 93 after Tyson Wheeler's senior year. We had just beaten Wallingford for the state championship. And I was gone for a while. And then Chop Parker at the time, 2001, 2002 season, had called me up, just asked me if I was interested in coaching. And I said, sure, I'd come help him out, And from then I was there from 2012 to 2002 on up 9 years with Parker. And in that time we won 3 state titles.
Did you ever think that as you were playing, or as the end of, obviously being around, did you ever feel like that you would become a coach one day, or was that kind of something you never really thought about?
I did. It's a funny story. When my freshman year for football, and I had played youth football, but it was a kid we called Tiny, but he was a big guy. I was playing free safety, and it was during the practice. He came around that corner, and I didn't see him, and he put that helmet right in my chest, and I flipped over. My chin strap went up. I said, "Okay, I don't think I want to be out on the field, man. I think I want to be on the sidelines."
That's funny, man. But hey, I mean, sometimes it takes something like that to be like, you know what? Maybe this isn't the sport for me. Maybe it's something else I want to do. And I mean, you found your niche to be able to have a chance to be able to, and who would have guessed? Maybe I don't think you ever would have thought to be able to have an opportunity to be the assistant coach or be a coach for a very successful New London basketball program.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've seen a lot of great players come through that program, and it's just things that I've seen and we've gone through. It's just unbelievable.
And during your time at New London, I mean, you won 3 state championships, and with all that, winning and success, and I go to the football side because you allude to, as far as with the chin strap, a program or a football team like Bill Belichick, and you see all the coaches who get hired off it because people want to try to get some of that success. What did you learn from that New London program? Was it the schematic side of basketball? Was it the mental side? Just tell me about it.
It's really the mental side, getting kids to believe that, believe in themselves and believe in the system, that it can work. You may not have that kind of, New London has talent all the time. So my job was to put kids that were out there in successful positions that, their talent may not be as the level at the kids at New London, but you know what, they may be a great shooter, and I got to put them in a position where they can be successful doing that. And they had to believe that. That was the main thing. You make them believe, and guess what? We can be successful, and just doing little things and paying attention to detail, and then we start to win a little bit, and then they start getting confidence, and then the ball start rolling from there.
Now, when you first started out, were you right, next to the head coach as far as the right-hand man in a sense? Were you working with the freshmen? Like, where was your role when you first started with New London as a coach?
When I first started out, I was the Sam Jones was the JV coach. I was on as just an assistant on the varsity side. So I wasn't getting paid. This was all volunteer until I got my certification. So, and Sam Jones had stepped down, and then I took over at the JV position. But when I first came back, it was just a volunteer that one year. But I was with Chop, Craig Parker, the coach there now, and we went scouting, and I did a lot of little things. I put together summer leagues and fall leagues, and went to Willimantic. So I was doing a lot of things that the head coach does anyway.
Really? I mean, hey, in some ways that it sounds like it was preparation for you to become a head coach down the road. Again, not knowing if you had that vision or maybe you were just thinking 1 year at a time, but doing the necessary things that typical and other assistants may not do prepares you and kind of speeds up that process to become a head coach down the road.
Yeah. I remember when I got the call, from Bunicor, Chop, the first thing Parker asked me, he says, "Hey, if you feel you're ready to blow that whistle, then, go for it." And that's basically, if you're ready to take over the reins of a program, go ahead and take it.
And speaking of that Ledyard program, going in as far as the interview process, I'm sure you knew about the program and to some extent kind of what they went through before and so on. Did you ask questions to Bunicor as far as kind of like, what could I possibly be facing? What kind of talent is there? What's the determining factor in order to maybe have a winning season down the road as well?
Well, if you think about it, Chris, when I took the program, I was leaving a very successful group of kids at New London High School. We had just gone, 27-0. Chris Dunn senior year, he was coming back with, a bunch of seniors, man, that, we were going to look to go back to back. But I talked to Bunicor, and he mentioned there's, a good group of freshmen coming up, and he says a chance to build your own program, your own legacy. And you know what? I say, and Chop has always taught, this is one thing he did teach me. He says, if you always stay at a program because of this kid and the next kid, you'll never leave. So you got to go out when the time is right, man.
Yeah, it goes back to, what I allude to with coaches at different, professional levels. If you stay and never want to try to take that chance, I feel like the window for a coach as far as to get that opportunity. You think about the NFL, there's only so many quarterback positions. There's only 30, 31, 32. Same thing for head coaching. There's only so many spots. If you have a chance, take advantage of it because you just never know what that door could be when you open it.
Right. That's very true. I'm glad I took it. And, here I am 10 years later.
Now, what did you have to, as far as your first year, actually, you know what? I should go into the off-season part because I think that's the more intriguing part because, you're a first-year head coach at Ledyard. The program has not had a lot of success before, you got there. Now, was there anything that you had to implement? Was there anything that you did as far as the off-season before the actual preseason started?
Well, the first thing I did was put him in a summer league. I ran a summer league in New London at the middle school. And the first thing I did, I told Bunicor, I want to get these guys in the summer league. I wanted to see what I had, what kind of talent, if any, was there, and, they weren't very good at all, but I saw some, little things in there that you could probably work with. And what helped was a couple of Mashantucket kids came back when they found that I got the job. So they came back from prep school, which was a huge boost, in our team and our success that year.
Do you think because of the amount of success that you had at New London, I mean, you just mentioned Chris Dunn, who's in the NBA, and he's been around a couple teams, but still had a great career as far as at Providence and then doing his thing, when healthy. Do you think because of the names and where you were and having the rings, as far as that first year is concerned, that you had the cachet where if I'm saying it because of what I've done in the past, it speaks for itself. So listen to what I'm saying.
I would hope that's what it was. I did, the kids probably didn't know who I was, and I kind of, when I was introducing myself, kind of let them know my resume and where I've been and what I've done. I even brought in I've had 6 state championship rings from New London High School. I had to bring that in and show the guys this is what I got. So just in case they didn't believe me.
I mean, hey, just like Nick Saban, just put the rings on the table and say, enough said. Now, as far as, again, I keep going back to that first year because I feel like, if you're a new GM of a club, of a team, your first signing or trade usually speaks volumes of how you view the program going forward. And I think the same for a coach, as far as what you do your first year really speaks to how the rest of your tenure will be, as far as being able to implement what you want. And I mean, your first year, 15-5, after what they did in the past, like, was there anything different that you did, or like, what was it? Because that's great.
No, not really. We actually lost our first game, uh, and I think we were on the verge. And then we had won the next game, and then we were at Woodstock. I recall we were at Woodstock Academy, and I think it was tied at halftime. And I looked at the kids. We were in the classroom at halftime. I looked at the kids. I said, guys, we are not going to lose this game. You guys have done that in the past. This is not going to happen. Things are changing after tonight. And and it kind of clicked. We came out in that second half and we took off from there, and the kids, we actually made it to the state semifinals my first year. We went 21-7 overall.
Yep.
And I actually thought, believe it or not, I actually thought we should have won that game. I'm saying to my assistant Troy McKelvin, I'm watching Watertown warm up, and I said, Coach, we're going to beat these guys probably by about 15 points tonight. And it wasn't the case, though.
Yeah, I know that Watertown team very well because I was, I was born, I grew up in Watertown, and that 2011, 2012 season, people still, when I go to visit my parents and I see a couple of my friends, they still talk about that Watertown team. And they were a very good team, and they've had a couple of those kind of teams. And, again, going back to kind of that first year, what you did from there on out, I mean, 15-5 your first year, 18-2 the second, 17-3. I mean, you had 8 seasons of 10 plus wins. And I mean, you were no worse. I mean, I know the 2018, 2019 season, you were a 26 seed as far as Division II was concerned, but it didn't matter what seed you were, you still were successful regardless of that. And that speaks volumes as well.
Yeah, I mean, once the postseason hits, I thought getting the guys ready. I mean, I think they were seasoned. It's a lot of, I've always said games, games are won. I think the coaching aspect is done in practice. Games are made for adjustments, making adjustments. But if you prepare your kids in practice, by the time game time comes, they should be okay and be prepared and, not scared out there. And, postseason came, it was like a whole new season. We were ready to go.
And speaking of that adjustment too, I mean, after your second season, you guys moved up to Double L for back-to-back seasons. Actually, no, 3 straight seasons to be exact. And typically when a team, and I've seen teams in all my years broadcasting high school basketball in Connecticut, typically when a program moves up a level, or in this case for you guys, 2 levels at the time before it was divisions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They struggle because you're facing, a team that has 8 wins in Double L could run the table in Class S and M. And, how did you guys make that adjustment so quickly? Because it happened within a year.
Well, we had some good talent. We really had some good talent, some good players. And we actually had kids that were gamers. They really knew the game, and, they played hard. Those guys played hard, and they were friends with each other. So they played, even in the off season, they were friends with each other, and they knew the game and played together. So it really wasn't that hard. It's just, competing against teams because we thought we were pretty good. And
Now,
I don't mean to cut you off, Chris.
very good.
I actually bumped us up to Double L that year. We played Bridgeport Central because I figured we had a really good team. And to be the best, I feel you got to play the best. And that's why I did that. Maybe, in hindsight, people say you could have won a state championship because your kids a state championship. You never know. It's no guarantees at any level. L, M, L, double L, doesn't matter. You could have a powerhouse and still not come away with a win. So,
I mean, hey, look at it. In 2013 to 2014 season, you beat Kennedy and Crosby, which I've seen many times. And those, as far as I understand, Kennedy has been going through an adjustment period. Crosby has been pretty consistent. I'm sure you know about Coach Algelli and his legacy. But I mean, I think since we're on that subject, going up against Coach Algelli, how was that? Because again, going back to he's the godfather of basketball, known in Connecticut. That must have been a fun sight to be able to coach against him.
Oh, just going down to their gym and being in the Palace was that was something special in itself. We coming in, the kids didn't know the history though. That's the big thing. They didn't know the history. I knew the history, but they were saying this is just another good team. We knew about the kid Tyshawn Rogers, and I can't remember the other kid they had was a shooter. He had a lot of tattoos on his arm.
Oh, Anthony Ireland,
Spanish kid. I can't remember his name.
I have to go back. Yeah,
but yeah. So we knew about those two players, and but I knew about their program and their mystique. The kids didn't, which was good, and I didn't tell them.
Well, that's smart because every time I walk into the Palace before I broadcast a game, the first thing, if you go on either side of the entrance doors, you see all those banners, all the undefeated seasons when Ireland was playing back in the day with Augelli, and he had that group. I know you just alluded to Tyson Rogers, et cetera, who scoring and all that. You see all that. And sometimes, especially maybe not yourself, but young men who walk in and see that, they're like, oh, well, I mean, before the game even starts and tip even goes off, you're already feeling like, whoa, we're down by 10 already. But that's pretty impressive that they held their ground and they didn't get intimidated by all of that success.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? If they don't know about it, then they have nothing to fear.
That's a great point, Coach. Now, looking at, and again, I'm going to ask you to kind of turn back the clock a little bit. What year specifically, in all the years that you've been at Ledyard, did you feel like would have been a tough year coming into the season, but it turned out to be better than what you expected?
Might be 2 years. I know the year 2016, after I had that really good team in 15 with Deontay Bruton and the Thomas twins, and 2016, I had no idea what we were going to do. And we actually ended up winning our division. We did get beat in the ECC semifinals, but I had no idea because we lost all of our starters. But we still had a pretty good year that year also. And you know what? To be honest with you, last year, I really didn't know what to expect. And we ended up, we had some bad losses. But we ended up 12-8 and actually got to the ECC finals. I felt really, really good about that team going into the state tournament. We beat a Stratford team that wasn't too bad, and I was really confident going down to Shelton. I had seen them on tape, and they were 16-4. I had a really good feeling about that, and I thought we were going to make a nice run. I mean, Northwest and Capital Prep was in our bracket on our side, and Connor, but I thought I was really confident about last year's team.
And it's a shame, man, that the season could not have been finished out as far as the state tournament was concerned, because as you alluded to, play was stopped and then eventually canceled the state tournament because of COVID. It was just at the beginning of the coronavirus when the CIAC was the first one to cancel the state tournament and the whole 9 yards. When that happened, Coach, I mean, again, this is, before what we know now with the pandemic and all that, just first reaction, I'm sure you were angry, but I can almost imagine you were more frustrated for the players because, like you said, went into the season a lot to adjust and to just try to do as far as a team does through the season, 12-8, and you're able to do so much, and then you have a chance to potentially go farther than maybe anybody expected, and then COVID strikes.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy too. I think it was in January we were on a bus ride. I'm not sure if we were going to Woodstock. We were going somewhere, and one of my assistants had said, yeah, man, this coronavirus, China's talking about closing the school and they won't get back until April. I said, what is this coronavirus? I did not understand the magnitude of what this would be in the next 2 months. And so when it came out, it was a little frustration, but at the time, but as things started to develop and all of that, and then you kind of realize how serious it was, and it was probably the right thing for them to do.
Was it hard, after the fact, telling the players, like, I don't know if there were any seniors that you had that it was their last, I mean, this is it, and I'm sorry, but how hard was that for you, Coach, to have to say that?
Oh yeah, I had a really nice group of seniors. I actually had 5 seniors that actually was in the program for 4 years, and that's very rare, for the guys to come all the way through the program and not get into different sports and things of that nature. But those 5 seniors, at times you get frustrated with them during the season, but at the end of the day, they're kids. I love them, man, and they give you everything they got. And it was really tough for them to go out like that and not be able to, finish off their season away, either winning or losing.
No, as the shutdown.
We won. Actually, we won our last game, so we went out winners.
There you go. Yeah, you're right, Coach. You're right about that one. As the virus kind of proceeded and things were shut down, and the concerns is, since I started this podcast in March when the virus and the pandemic started, I know coaches have had different things as far as trying to keep their kids engaged and not lose guys, or young women for that matter as well, because I've had a lot of coaches who come out here and said, have said many times, I've lost this kid, I've lost this young man, I've had an opportunity, or I've lost the opportunity to be able to keep that young player on the straight and narrow. How are you able to do that with the core team that you have?
The kids, during the summertime was really easier. I had put on, we would go out to the park. We went out to the park, it was outside. Kids they didn't play with masks, but whoever wasn't playing had their mask on outside. But I had a lot of my alumni, and I would tell them, come down to the park. So, and I even had a couple pictures where I took with all the alumni that I've coached in the past, and we had good times against the older guys, giving the business to the younger guys. It was really, really good. I brought pizza for them out there. We had, Gatorade and stuff like that. So to try to keep them engaged. And, once the winter hit, it was a whole nother story. It was hard to stay on top of them, except for we were in the fall league up in New Britain, which Kurt Reese put on at New Britain Boys and Girls Club. So every Wednesday night we played up there, and they did a good job of cleaning and social distancing the teams and, people like that. So those things kept my kids engaged.
And that's the biggest part, keeping the kids engaged and keeping them focused, because as we know, doing this can only do so much. I mean, losing interest and so forth is probably one of the biggest factors, going forward here. But, as far as the winter is concerned, you wrote an article in The Day that I thought was very touching for multiple reasons, just because you were speaking to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed to me the multiple times that I read it that you were speaking from the heart. Can you kind of, like, when you wrote that, did it take a day, an hour? It seemed like it was very well written and something that you were very spacious as far as writing it.
Well, to be honest with you, I thought she asked, Vicky Fulkerson asked me, if I could write something 500 words, just my thoughts of, what we were going through and whatnot. And I just wrote down what I thought and the things. I thought they were going to edit it, but they took everything I wrote verbatim and put it on. So I was a little surprised by it, and then after rereading it, I said, well, hey, that's what I was thinking at the time.
What was the feedback? I'm sure some of your, former, either your former coach or players, alumni, some or current.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you heard from a lot of people. What was it like?
Well, yeah, my former assistant, Troy McKelvin, he said that was, he thought it was really nice. It was well written. He said, I hit on a lot of good points. Same thing with, some people in the community said the same thing, but that's just what I was thinking.
I mean, hey, at the end of the day, The truth is in the pudding. If you meant it, it's on paper, and I mean, you got a lot of positive feedback. That's great, Coach. Now, I have one more question for you. I really do appreciate you coming on. I know practice has started. Games are going to be starting soon after for you and also the ECC. As far as with the potential, I mean, I know with COVID, I mean, you kind of just don't know as far as with each day, if a school has an outbreak or just one player or, one non-player or player, the school is going to close. So how is it as far as going into practice? Like, is it going 100% knowing that this could be the last day? Because we could be shut down for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I tell the kids every single day, man. This truly is a point where your actions are affecting everyone in here, and every could be everyone throughout the whole league. You just got to be cautious, and we relish every single day we get it. That's why I put on my Instagram. God is good, man. Every day, if we can get in here and do what we love, that's a blessing to us all, man. But I stress to my guys, it's up to you guys. You got to be safe. You got to be smart. You got to, you just can't take anything for granted, because just like back in March, everything was shut down. It could be shut down again. So, we just trying to take it day by day, Chris.
And what could we and me, because, I'll be, I'm going to be paying attention to Ledyard because I've had Serecchio, the football coach. I've had Bunicor on. Now I've had yourself on. I'm getting the whole Ledyard athletic staff here. But seriously, what can because like I said, I'm going to be following your program because of the amount of success and just the fact you're a great guy as well. What could I expect from this basketball team and program this season?
My teams, I always preach, play as hard as you can for as long as you can. We're going to compete. We're going to compete as hard as we can. And that's all I ask for my guys. Win or lose, if you compete and give me everything you got, I'm going to give you everything I got on the sidelines. And, I only know one way, and that's to try to win and compete. That's it.
And it goes back to your time in New London, because all you did is two things: compete, and you won a whole lot of rings. I'll tell you that much, Coach. But hey, I really do appreciate you coming on, and hopefully I can get you back on either during the season or after the season, because I could talk to you forever, Coach. But thank you again.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. It's been an honor.
No problem. That wrap things up in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. Remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent, and I'm on a journey to find them all. Have a good one, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.